Billionaire's daughter revealed how a poor boy's life-changing advice transformed her 12 failing grades. Jack Thompson wasn't he supposed to be here? The annual charity gala, a dazzling event hosted by the town's richest man, Charles Harrington, glittered like the stars in a night sky he'd only ever dreamt of touching. Yet, here he was, a 17-year-old dreamer from a struggling Maplewood family, trudging through the grand entrance carrying pizza boxes that seemed like anchors weighing down his aspirations. Sipping champagne, donning tuxedos, the crowd of elites swirled around him, their laughter ringing louder than the chatter of discontent back home. When he bumped into her, a vision in a gown that shimmered like the moonlit lake, everything shifted. Lily Harrington. Her smile was bright, but her eyes, those deep pools of uncertainty, told a different story. Jack felt a tightening in his chest. She looked perfect, but as the clinking of glasses echoed through the hall, he sensed her mask cracking. She was just like him, trapped in a world made of expectations and pressure. "Hey, do you mind?" she asked, wringing her hands as if holding on to courage. I need to step outside for a second." Fate was wild. She needed him, this scruffy pizza guy from the wrong side of the tracks, to whisk her away from the suffocating grandeur of her father's realm. "Sure," Jack replied, his heart racing. They slipped out into the crisp evening air, the stars blinking overhead, the void between their lives palpable. "Why can't I just be myself?" she asked, the question hanging heavy. "I'm scared I'll never be enough for my dad." Jack took a breath, feeling the weight of his family's dreams resting on his shoulders. "You find your own path. Don't let anyone define you, not even your dad. Look, my old man just lost his job. I see my parents struggle every day, and yet they fight. They're real. You need to be real too." Her eyes widened as if he'd handed her a lifeline. And right there, amidst the twinkling stars, something beautiful sparked. They talked late into the night, sharing their insecurities over slices of cold pizza, their laughter pouring like sunshine into the darkness. He learned that beneath her polished exterior, Lily was brimming with fear, her 12 failing grades overshadowed by her father's relentless standards. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The air thickened with excitement and raw honesty whenever she was close. But Jack felt the divide widening, the pressures creeping back in. How could he hope for something with Lily when his world threatened to collapse? Days later, the news hit hard. His father's factory closed down. They had bills to pay, dreams crumbling like dust. Jack fought the tide of despair while Lily, inspired by their late-night conversations, stood her ground against her parents. "I admire Jack's heart," she declared during dinner, her voice strong, a spark igniting her family's icy climate. As she proclaimed her admiration, Jack felt hope swell inside him. But reality loomed ominously over their growing friendship. Could a poor boy and a billionaire's daughter forge a bond strong enough to defy the expectations tangled around them? With every hope ignited in that moment, one question remained: would their worlds inevitably rip them apart just when they needed each other the most? Lily barely slept that night. Images of Jack's earnest face danced behind her eyelids, igniting a flicker of hope in the pit of her stomach. She knew she had to follow through with her newfound strength. The next day, she confronted her parents at breakfast. The usual clinking of cutlery and muted conversations felt different, charged like electricity hanging in the air. "Mom, Dad, I need to talk," she stated, her voice steady. "I can't keep pretending I'm someone I'm not." The tension cut through the air, her mother's eyes widening as if Lily had just declared she was moving to another country. "You're about to graduate, Lily. We expect you to maintain your grades," her father replied, dismissing her with a wave of his hand. He was entrenched in his newspaper, a fortress of the old world that Lily yearned to escape. "Grades don't define me," she exclaimed, an unexpected fire igniting within her. "I want to be more than just your perfect daughter." The silence that followed was deafening. Lily closed her eyes, bracing for an onslaught of disappointment, but when she dared to look up, she saw something different in her father's eyes. Was it acknowledgement? "Lily," he hesitated, his fingers trembling slightly as he put the paper down. "It's not that simple. You have responsibilities. Responsibilities that crush who I really am." She shot back before she could stop herself. The air was laced with both fear and adrenaline. For the first time, Lily felt the burden of her own expectations slide off her shoulders, if only just a little. Meanwhile, Jack was holed up in his room, enveloped in a fog of despair. Bills piled high on the kitchen counter, each one demanding attention he couldn't afford. His mother wandered the house, silent and distant, as if struggling with her own battles. Jack took a deep breath and rummaged through his worn textbooks, desperately trying to push the panic away. Then a notification dinged on his phone, a text from Lily. It simply read, "I stood up to my parents. Can we talk?" His heart raced, and just like that, he felt a spark ignite in the darkness. They met under the old oak tree where they had shared their dreams and fears. The leaves whispered stories of summer, but today felt different, it was ripe with potential. Lily appeared first, her blue eyes ablaze. "I did it, Jack. I told them I can't live their dreams anymore. I want to fight for my own." Jack's heart swelled. "That's incredible, Lily." Grinning, he could almost feel the weight lifting off his own shoulders. But her smile flickered as she spoke. "But confronting them doesn't change how they feel. What if they cut me off? What if I really fail?" He took a step closer, closing the gap between their worlds, letting the warmth of her presence wash over him. "You can't think like that. It's not failure if you're being true to yourself. And if they don't accept you, we'll figure it out together." There was a moment filled with a shared silence, two separate lives now intertwined in a fragile bond. But both could feel the subtle tremor of doubt creeping in. The path in front of them was anything but certain. Jack's phone buzzed again, this time it was news about his father's factory, a creeping uncertainty settling back into him. "What if I don't have anything to offer you?" he confessed, vulnerability spilling from him like a hidden truth. "Sometimes just being there is enough," Lily replied softly. The weight of each other's struggles hung in the air, thick and tangled. As their eyes met, they both understood that they were on the precipice of something significant, something that transcended their stories, but as the sun began to set behind the horizon, casting shadows over their uncertain futures, one question loomed larger than the rest: could they truly face their fears together, or would the worlds they came from tear them apart when they needed each other the most? Lily felt the weight of Jack's words hanging in the air, both comforting and terrifying. The day felt like a turning point, yet her mind raced with doubts. She didn't want her fear to extinguish this newfound hope. "We can't just wish things will be okay, Jack. What if everything just falls apart?" He shifted his gaze to the ground, kicking at the fallen leaves. "Then we rebuild. Honestly, it's terrifying to think about, but what choice do we have? We've got to keep pushing forward." The sun fell lower in the sky, and shadows stretched across the grassy clearing, mirroring the uncertainties lurking in their hearts. As they stood in silence, contemplating the unseen future, something shifted in Jack. With determination replacing doubt, he asked, "What do you want, Lily?" "Just you." His question knotted her stomach. Did she even know? "I want to be free to discover who I am and what I really care about. I want to create, to express my art the way I see it, not the way they expect it. But I have no idea how to start. It's like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff." "Then jump," Jack spoke with an intensity that made her shiver. "Jump?" She stared at him. "You make it sound so simple. Sometimes it's the jump that brings the most growth. I've watched you bury your passion for so long. What if you put everything on the line? Just one leap, one try. The thought sent goosebumps racing across her arms. Could she really take his words to heart? Jack's voice softened, as if he sensed her hesitation. I know it's scary. But what if you fly? A spark of inspiration ignited in her. What if I do? Yes. Do what makes you happy. And I'll back you up. Hearing him speak those words made something inside her uncoil. You believe in me. I do. And even if we fail, at least we'll know we tried. The sun dipped lower now, creating a breathtaking palette of oranges and purples in the sky. Lily felt invigorated by the colors, a reminder that beauty could emerge from struggle. As they talked, laughter mixed with shared vulnerabilities, and soon it felt as if triumph was within her reach. Maybe with Jack by her side, she could truly grasp her dreams. But that night, as she lay in bed, doubt crept back in. What if her parents were right? What if pursuing her passion led to heartache? The next morning came fast, her parents' disapproving faces still fresh in her mind. She turned over the possibilities, and then a sudden voice startled her. You can't let fear dictate your choices, Lily. Jack's words rang loud in her ears, fueling her determination. She had to start somewhere. She grabbed her sketchbook and quickly jotted down an idea that had been brewing since last summer. The strokes of her pencil felt liberating, almost like confession. But as inspiration flowed, it was interrupted by another text from Jack. Can we meet? I found something that might change everything. Her heart raced at the thought of him suggesting something new. What could he have discovered? With renewed energy, she shot back a reply, I'll be there. What did you find? Little did they know, the conversation they would have next would unravel their fears and lead them down a path neither could have envisioned. Uncertainty loomed ahead, but hope flickered in their hearts. As she made her way to the tree, she couldn't shake the feeling that life was about to change forever. But what was Jack ready to reveal? Lily hurried to the old oak tree, her heart thrumming in her chest. She had never felt so alive, so anxious, and so hopeful all at once. The world around her seemed to pulse with energy. She could see Jack's silhouette leaning against the trunk, his posture relaxed but his expression serious. Hey, he greeted as she approached, rubbing the back of his neck. Thanks for coming. What is going on? She asked, trying to read the tension in his eyes. That he took a breath, his gaze fixed on the ground for a moment. I stumbled upon something that might just open up some doors for you and for me. Interest piqued, she shifted closer. What do you mean? I was out running errands, and I heard this guy talking about a local art showcase coming up. It's for young artists, you know, like open calls for submissions. But here's the thing, it's also a chance to get seen by some pretty influential people in the art world. Her breath caught. You think I could submit something? Absolutely. Jack's enthusiasm lit up his face. You can showcase your art, and who knows? This could be your leap. Lily's mind raced. This was it. This was the jump he'd talked about. The opportunity she sought. But just as quickly, doubt attempted to creep back in. But what if no one likes it? What if they reject me? Lily, he said, stepping closer, his eyes earnest. You'll never know unless you try. And even if it doesn't go the way you hope, you'd have put yourself out there. That's what matters. You've got to believe in your art as much as I do. His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket, igniting a flame of courage she hadn't realized was so close to the surface. Okay, I'll do it. I will. Jack grinned. Yes. You're a force to be reckoned with. They stood there in the growing dusk, and in that moment, it felt like everything shifted. The world around them faded, and all that existed was the promise of possibilities, yet, just as she began to bask in the warmth of enthusiasm, her phone buzzed in her pocket. A text from her father. We need to talk about your choices, Lily. You can't waste time on a frivolous dream. Panic shot through her, and just as quickly, determination clenched her heart. "I can't let this hold me back," she told Jack, feeling the weight of her father's expectations warring with her desire. "Let's take it one step at a time," Jack suggested. "What's the next step for this showcase?" Lily took a deep breath. "I need to create a piece that speaks to me. Something raw and real." "Yes. Get excited about it. Use everything you've got. Pour your emotions into it." His words resonated deeply. She envisioned her canvas alive with colors, bold strokes that communicated her journey. This would be a celebration of her fears, her struggles, and finally, her breakthrough. As the sun dipped down further, the world around them was awash in deep blues and purples. A night filled with doubts, worries, and opinions was ahead, but for now, hope surged within her like a fresh breeze. "I can't thank you enough for this, Jack. You've pushed me to believe in myself. Just promise me you won't back down," he said, eyes steady as if he was searching for every fiber of her resolve. Lily nodded, her heart hammering with new purpose. "I won't." But as she looked into the vast sky, a stray thought clawed at her mind. What if this leap turned out to be nothing at all? And could she handle the fallout if it did? Jack sensed something shift. "What's wrong?" Before she could answer, another message from her father chimed in, setting off alarm bells in her chest. "We'll talk, and you better be ready to listen." With her father's disapproval hanging over her like a storm cloud and the weight of a life-changing decision pressing down on her, one question burned in her mind: could she break free from those expectations and chase a dream that felt so out of reach? The answer was unclear, but as she prepared to leave, she knew one thing for certain: whatever came next, it would be life-changing. And she could only hope Jack would be by her side when the truth came crashing down. What awaited her on this artistic journey, she couldn't yet imagine. Lily sat on the edge of her bed, the weight of her father's text still heavy in the air. The dim light of her lamp flickered, casting shadows that danced around her room. It was a quiet battlefield, filled with art supplies that whispered to her, each brush and canvas echoing the dream that felt both deliciously reachable and terrifyingly elusive. With a deep breath, she picked up her sketchbook and flipped to a blank page. Her heart raced as she stared at the empty space. It felt like a void waiting to be filled with everything she was too afraid to express. What if she poured her soul onto this page and it didn't resonate? What if her fear of failure became a reality? But then she remembered Jack's face, his belief in her, his excitement. It reignited a flicker of hope, nudging her to take that leap. She grabbed her favorite pencil and began to draw, letting each line flow from her fingertips like a stream of conscious thought. With each stroke, she embraced the chaos of her emotions, the struggles between her father's expectations and her own dreams. Hours passed, and the world outside faded away as she fell into her creative zone. A figure emerged on the page, representing her journey, capturing not just her struggles but also her resilience. It didn't matter if it was perfect, it mattered that it was real. Just as the last shade of color blended into the drawing, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a call from her dad. She hesitated for a moment, her heart pounding, then answered. "Lily," his voice was firm. "We need to talk about your future. You can't just chase after some dream when you have responsibilities." Her voice quivered as she responded, "I'm not dreaming, Dad. This is something I want to pursue. For myself. You're wasting your time. You've always had a talent for better things. Art isn't a real career." Those words cut deep, slicing through her confidence like a hot knife. Memories of growing up under his critical gaze flooded back every time her pursuits had been brushed aside. But this time felt different. Perhaps it was Jack's encouragement echoing in her mind, urging her to stand firm. "Art is real to me, Dad. It's not just a hobby. It's my voice," she replied, steadier now that a heavy silence settled on the line, and she could almost hear him grinding his teeth, wrestling with disbelief. "Just remember who you are, Sullivan. We have a legacy to uphold." The weight of that name hung over her like a shroud. Yes, she was a Sullivan, but she was also Lily. And she wanted to carve out her own identity, independent of her father's expectations. I'm not trying to be someone I'm not. I just want to express myself in the way that feels right, she reaffirmed, her voice stronger that he let out a breath, one that felt as burdensome as a sigh of defeat. Think about what you're doing. I'll always be here, waiting. The call ended, leaving her heart racing. A part of her felt the ache of disappointment, but another part stronger and more vibrant lit a fire inside her. She was no longer just dodging expectations, she was defining her own path. With newfound confidence simmering within her, Lily returned to her drawing. The next challenge loomed. The showcase deadline was fast approaching. So, she set to work, not only refining the piece but infusing it with every emotion that had risen to the surface that night. As she painted, the world outside grew quiet. She poured her hopes and fears onto the canvas, merging them with colors that reflected her spirit. But amid this burst of creativity, a gnawing question lingered: what if her father's voice was right? What if she ultimately failed? Determined not to succumb to fear, Lily gripped her brush tighter. One stroke at a time, she would forge ahead. As dawn broke, washing her room in soft light, she took a step back. Her heart was racing, and adrenaline coursed through her veins, but she knew she was on the brink of something special. She wasn't just creating a piece of art, she was claiming her identity. Little did she know, just outside her window, a decision was being made that would change everything for her. Would she be able to face what lay ahead, both at the showcase and with her father's expectations? The truth was waiting to unfold. The sun was climbing higher in the sky when Lily finally stepped back from her canvas. She felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration, her fingers stained with paint, the remnants of her late-night creative binge. The piece, though imperfect, was alive, bursting with colors and emotions that told her story, her silent rebellion against her father's wishes. She took a sharp inhale, tasting the warmth of victory on her tongue. But that taste quickly soured when she glanced at her phone. The showcase was only a few days away, and panic began to brew in her chest. What if no one understood her? What if her father was right all along? Just as her thoughts spiraled, a knock at her door snapped her back to reality. It was Jack, his energetic presence a reminder that she wasn't alone in this struggle. He burst in with his classic enthusiasm, brightening the shadows that loomed in her mind. Lily. You won't believe how excited I am about the showcase. I can't wait to see your piece. His enthusiasm pulled a small smile from her, and she gestured for him to sit on the edge of her bed. I'm scared, Jack. What if it's not good enough? What? He exclaimed, leaning forward. You've poured your heart and soul into this. People will see that. It's not about being perfect, it's about being real. You've got this. His confidence was infectious, and for a moment, the fear retreated. In his eyes, she could see the belief he had in her. But then reality crashed back in. But what if my dad shows up? She fretted, feeling the weight of her last conversation crawl back into her chest. I can't handle the pressure of his expectations while trying to present my art. Jack frowned, his brow furrowing. You can't let him dictate how you feel about your work. If he's there, own that space. Show him who you really are. Lily took a breath, absorbing his words. You believe that? Of course I do. You're more than just a Sullivan, you're Lily. And your voice matters, especially when you let it out through your art. With renewed determination, she picked up her paintbrush and dashed a few quick strokes on the canvas, as if inscribing his declaration directly onto her piece. You're right, I don't need his approval. The two worked side by side, Jack touching up his own sketches as he cheered her on. They talked about dreams, aspirations, and the future. It was invigorating, like a weight lifting off her shoulders. Lily felt hope returning, curling in her stomach like a warm light that as the sun began to set, her piece was almost complete. She stepped away, admiring it with a critical but proud eye. I can't believe I'm actually doing this, she whispered, overwhelmed. This is me. This is my truth. Just then, her phone buzzed again, breaking the moment. It was a text from her father. The words seemed to hang in the air, pulling her attention away from her triumph. Don't forget about family obligations. We need to discuss your future more seriously. It's time to face reality. The pressure returned, unseen, but it settled over her shoulders like a cloak of ice. She looked at Jack, who was watching her carefully. What did he say? He asked gently. Lily hesitated. Just more of the same. Doesn't he think I should be pursuing art? Jack's expression hardened, and he leaned closer. You need to stand up for yourself, Lily. This is your chance to show who you are. Taking a deep breath, she nodded, knowing this was more than just about art. It was about freedom, about taking control of her own life, and about being unafraid to step away from a legacy that didn't fit her. That night, she found herself unable to sleep. Images of the showcase danced in her mind, both thrilling and terrifying. She wanted to believe in Jack's words, but every time she envisioned her father's scowl, doubt crept back in. But just before drifting into a restless sleep, a thought struck her. What if this showcase was not just a moment in time? What if it was a gateway to something much bigger than she had ever imagined? As morning light crept in, painting her room with hope, she realized, she wasn't just fighting her father's expectations. She was standing up for her future. Would she truly be able to embrace that future, even if it meant breaking free from everything she had known? The day of the showcase crept up faster than Lily had anticipated. The night before, she hardly closed her eyes, replaying every moment from her late-night painting session to conversations with Jack. As she stood in front of the mirror, brushing her hair into a neat bun, her heart pounded with an excited dread. The small gallery was buzzing when she arrived, filled with colors, people, and a palpable energy that seemed to swirl in the air. Jack was already there, bouncing from one canvas to another, his enthusiasm pushing the anxiety in her chest down a notch. He waved her over with a grin, pointing out some sketches nearby. Look at this. Isn't it brilliant? She smiled back, even though her mind was racing. Have you seen mine yet? Not yet. I was planning to be the audience for your masterpiece, he said mischievously. Lily pulled in a deep breath. I don't know, Jack, stop it. Remember what we talked about. You're here to own it. Now, where is it? Right there, she said hesitantly, pointing to the corner where her piece stood, a swirl of vibrant colors and raw emotions. As they approached, the gallery owner stepped forward, welcoming guests and inviting them to explore. The crowd began to gather, their excited chatter filling the room, yet Lily felt she was in a bubble, a world all her own. She could feel her father's looming presence in her mind, reminding her of what he expected, yet somewhere in her resolve, she held on to Jack's belief in her. Just a little longer, Jack urged, nudging her shoulder gently. You can do this. Then people started to gravitate toward her piece, murmurs of admiration weaving through the crowd. Wow, look at the colors. This feels so alive. They weren't critiquing, no, they were connecting with her work. Heart racing, she stepped closer, her breath hitching as she heard snippets of conversations. One woman seemed entranced, her eyes sparkling with understanding as she pointed at a pink hue in the corner. It feels like courage. Lily's heart soared when she caught sight of Jack, his expression one of pride and excitement. Then, just as things began to shift from nerve-wracking to exhilarating, her phone vibrated violently in her pocket. A text from her father. I can't believe you're wasting your potential on this foolishness. Your future is on the line. This is not what we had discussed. Swallowing hard, she fought back the wave of doubt that threatened to crash over her. Could she really face him if he chose to show up? Lily? Jack's voice broke through the noise, pulling her focus back. You all right? I don't know, she admitted, feeling small again under the weight of expectations. Look at your piece, he encouraged, gesturing toward the canvas. This is who you are. Own it. Just then, a familiar figure stepped inside the gallery, catching her eye. It was her father, and every instinct screamed for her to hide, to slip into the shadows, but as she locked eyes with Jack, she felt something shift within her. This was it. This was the moment to stop being trapped by fears and begin to embrace her truth. With a resolute breath, she straightened, her heart racing with possibility. The crowd was there, they were appreciating her art. She couldn't let her father's disapproval define her anymore. "Jack, I need a moment," she said, determination rising within her. "Of course," he said, stepping back as she marched toward her father, who stood there looking disapproving, arms crossed. "Lily," he said coldly, his voice cutting through her confidence. "Do you really think this is the right path?" She felt a fire ignite inside her. "Yes, I do. This is who I am, Dad. Not what you wanted me to be, but I have to be true to myself." The words hung in the air, heavy and raw between them, but at that moment, she felt free, almost detached from the fear that had tethered her for so long, but the pain of his expression made her heart twist. What would he say next? Would she really stand her ground? Lily took a deep breath, waiting for his response, knowing whatever he said would shape not just this night, but her entire future. Lily could feel the electric tension in the air as she locked eyes with her father. His expression was a mixture of disbelief and disappointment, an emotion she had grown accustomed to over the years. Small pieces of her hope began to tremble like leaves in a storm, but she didn't let that overshadow her courage. "Lily, art?" he questioned, eyebrows knitted in confusion. "After all the sacrifices, all the effort we put into your education, you choose this?" "Yes, Dad," she said, her voice gaining strength. "I choose this. Painting allows me to express everything I've felt but couldn't say. It's a part of me that can't be ignored any longer." Some guests began to notice their exchange, casting curious glances their way. She could feel the warmth of their eyes, their support wrapping around her like a blanket, staving off the chill of her father's words. Behind her, Jack stood near the canvas, his hands stuffed in his pockets but his eyes shining with encouragement. Her father sighed, his stern face softening a fraction. "But you could have so much more stability, success. This is just a hobby, Lily. Don't throw your life away over a thoughtless impulse." Lily shook her head, each movement feeling liberating, as though she were shaking off the weight of her family's expectations. "It's not a hobby. This is my life. You might see it as foolishness, but it's everything to me. I can't keep living for your dreams anymore." She could see the shift in her father's demeanor. Internally, he seemed to wrestle with the idea that perhaps, just maybe, he had been holding her back. The people milling around her painting, their eyes shining with appreciation, made all the difference. They hadn't seen her as a failure or a disappointment, they saw a raw passion. "Do you really believe you can survive off this? That you can make a career?" he pressed, still unsure. "I don't expect you to understand," she replied, feeling the fire reigniting in her chest. "But I have to try. I can't let fear decide my future. I want to create, to inspire. Those are my true ambitions." In that moment, everything felt suspended. The crowd, the noise, even Jack's encouraging smile faded into a mere backdrop. It was just her and her father, the emotional distance closing slightly, yet still fraught with uncertainty. He opened his mouth to respond, then paused. Something flickered behind his eyes, something vulnerable that shook the foundations of their conversation. "Lily, but before he could finish, a nearby voice cut in, breaking the tension. "Excuse me, are you the artist of this piece?" A woman approached, her face alight with passion. "I love the way these colors speak. It's like you've captured a heartbeat." Lily turned to face the woman, the sparks of excitement palpable. The crowd leaned closer, eager to hear more. Forgetting her father for a moment, she embraced this new connection with open arms. "Thank you. I see." Jack whispered gently, nudging her shoulder. "You've got this." Just be you. Was it really happening? Could she let go of her father's disapproval and embrace her passion in front of the very people she yearned to reach? Lily, her father's voice broke through her thoughts again, but this time there was something softer beneath. If this path is what you truly want, I want you to be happy. Just promise to keep your eyes open. His eyes held a mixture of fear and acceptance, and in that moment, Lily felt a swell of emotion rise inside her, a mixture of hope and relief. Thank you, Dad, she said, her voice breaking. I promise I will. But even as the words left her lips, she couldn't ignore the uncertainty. What if the acceptance came with strings attached? As her father stepped back, a knot in her stomach twisted again. Had she truly turned a new page, or was this merely a flicker of compromise before the storm? The laughter of the crowd around her felt light, a stark contrast to the weight of her thoughts. Lily looked back at the painting, soaking in the beauty of the life she had created. But would her father's doubts come crashing back? Jack leaned in, sensing the shift. You're doing great, he reassured her. But what if your father means more than he says? As Lily turned to answer, the dread of the unknown washed over her. What lay ahead? She took a deep, steadying breath, ready to explore this uncertain new chapter. Lily stood at the center of the gallery, the echoes of her father's mixed emotions still swirling in her mind. She appreciated the applause from the crowd, but the warmth of their admiration felt distant as she wrestled with her own uncertainty. Jack's voice wrapped around her like a lifeline. Just remember, you've got every right to be here. She nodded, forcing a smile, but her heart drummed a different rhythm. What if her father's acceptance was just a temporary truce, a reluctant concession before the bombshell fell? Hey, you okay? Jack asked, watching her intently. Yeah, just thinking. She glanced back at the vibrant colors splashed across the canvas, a chaotic whirl of life reflecting her inner turmoil. The woman who had praised her painting was still standing nearby, captivated. It's really stunning, she declared. Thanks, Lily said, appreciating the compliment even though it felt weighed down by her worries. Jack nudged her again, his voice a gentle whisper. Look, it's a big step, but you nailed it with that piece. Your art can speak for itself. She took a deep breath and tried to shake off the doubt. I know, but it's not just about the art. The crowd had grown, their murmurs mingling with the sound of clinking glasses. It's about my father, too. Jack's expression softened. It sounds like you had a breakthrough. He's trying. That means something, right? But what does he really want? Lily's voice wavered. Does he want me to find happiness, or is he just scared of what it means for him? A shift in the crowd drew them both away from their moment. A distinguished-looking man in a tailored suit approached them, his gaze fixed on Lily, entirely unbothered by the commotion. Excuse me, but I must know who is the artist behind this piece. Lily swallowed, feeling her heart race anew at the prospect of being recognized. That's, me. His smile was broad as he took a step closer. It's exceptional. I'm a collector, and I see something unique here. Have you considered showcasing your work in larger galleries? Her pulse quickened. This could be the opportunity she dreamt of, a chance to take her art beyond this moment. I hadn't really thought about that, she admitted, her voice taut with excitement and nerves. The man extended his hand, an invitation and a challenge that felt daunting yet electrifying. Let us talk, shall we? As they began discussing her pieces, Lily felt the crowd closing in, their interest thickening the air around her. She could see Jack's encouraging nod in the periphery, but her father remained a shadow behind, his expression inscrutable. But as the conversation flowed, time seemed to dilate. The words of the collector ignited a fire within her. Deep down, she felt like she was on the brink of something monumental. Yet, despite the rush of possibility, another doubt wormed its way into her mind. What if her father's acceptance came with conditions? What if he expected her to fail to justify his fears? With each glance back, Lily felt like she was caught in a web of expectations and dreams. The weight of her father's past loomed large over every optimistic word spoken by the collector, every eager smile from the crowd. There was excitement, yes, but also a sinking feeling. Just as one door opened, another her father's questions loomed ever closer. Lily, she heard him call softly from behind, interrupting her thoughts. What was next? A pang of anxiety twisted her stomach. Did she dare step forward into this new possibility, or would she instead be pulled back by the strings of her father's apprehensions? As she turned to face him, the world around her faded into a blur. Was it too late to turn away from the fear that had long shadowed her choices? Stay open to what's ahead, Jack's voice echoed inside, but could she really trust that advice in this moment? The gallery buzzed with energy, yet she felt utterly alone. Lily closed her eyes for a heartbeat, steeling herself before making the choice that could change everything. And then, she stepped forward, uncertain but determined. But as she did, she couldn't shake the chilling thought, what if embracing her passion meant losing something she couldn't get back? Lily stood motionless for a moment, weighing the gravity of her father's presence against the thrill of opportunity. She could turn back, slip into the shadows again, or she could step into the light, her light, no matter how uncertain it felt. Jack's encouraging gaze anchored her as she stepped closer to her father, the gallery's vibrant energy enveloping her like a hug. "Dad," she started, her voice steadied by conviction. "I want you to see me, see my art. It's not about seeking stability for your sake, it's about me finding my voice, my truth." The intensity in her words hung between them like a fine silk thread, ready to snap at the slightest tug. Her father's eyes searched hers for the apprehension he'd grown so accustomed to, but instead, he found resolve blooming where he'd expected despair. "I just don't want you to get hurt," he murmured, a softness creeping into his tone. "This world can be unforgiving. And I'll find my way through it." "I need to try," she insisted, feeling the weight lift as the gallery buzzed around them. "This piece is just a start. Perhaps art will be my path, or perhaps it won't, but I can't live someone else's dream. I owe it to myself to explore." His expression softened, caught off guard by the passion etched on her face. "You're so different from me, Lily." "Always have been," he admitted, a flicker of understanding igniting in his gaze. "But maybe that's okay." With each word, the knot inside her unfurled. The crowd's energy pulsed with excitement, drawing in closer to Lily's piece, their appreciation enveloping her like sunbeams breaking through clouds. Her father's acceptance, though fragile, became her anchor. Maybe he was finally beginning to see her. "And if you don't succeed?" he asked, his nervousness spilling out in the form of concern. "Will you still be okay?" "I'll figure it out, just like you have all these years. We both carry our burdens, don't we? But we can forge our own paths, Dad." The words felt like an incantation binding their hearts in a shared hope. He nodded slowly, as if every moment of struggle and sacrifice they'd endured was leading up to this exchange. A shared understanding began to weave between them, allowing acceptance to bloom where fear had once thrived. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, the conversations shifting toward admiration and enthusiasm as the collector gestured towards her artwork, enthralled. "Your art," he said, drawing Lily's attention back. "I see something special in it. It's raw and vibrant. You've expressed struggle into beauty. We need voices like yours in the art world." Her heart raced. This was it. Here stood a future brighter than any she'd imagined, a glimpse of her dreams flooding to the surface, bold and full of life. "Will you take that leap?" Jack's voice echoed, a reminder of faith shining at the periphery. "Yes," she exclaimed to the collector. "I'd love to showcase more of my work. I want to share my story, I want to show everyone who I really am." As the collector promised to guide her, Lily felt her father's attention drift. She turned to him one last time, the air between them crackling with the unspoken acceptance of a new beginning. "Thank you," she whispered, and felt a warmth in his silent reply. That day, Lily not only unveiled her art but also stepped onto the battlefield of her own life, every brushstroke an act of reclaiming her narrative. She was standing up, perhaps teetering on the edge, but ready to jump. As the applause echoed around her, she knew this moment was just the first. She was not just the billionaire's daughter, she was Lily, an artist, and a dreamer fully awake to her potential. The bond with Jack pulsed like the rhythm of a heartbeat, honest and strong, and even as they stood discovering new paths together, Lily knew one definitive truth: she would no longer allow expectations to bind her wings. The horizon shimmered with promise, where light met opportunity, a testament that she could, and would, soar. So, get ready for what's next. If you resonated with Lily's journey, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for stories that inspire and transform lives. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this awakening. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and help spread more of this positivity. And comment below your thoughts and feelings about Lily's captivating transformation, because your voice matters too.